Malaysia's inflation rose 4.4% from a year earlier in July as the cost of food continued to accelerate. The Department of Statistics Malaysia said today the food and non-alcoholic beverage index rose 6.9% and remained the main contributor to the rise in July's inflation. The segment was driven up by the cost of meat, which rose 12%. However, the department said there are food items that showed a slower growth momentum as compared to June 2022, including the prices of fish and seafood up 4.2% and the cost of vegetables, which climbed 7.1%. Aside from the food segment, all other groups within the Consumer Price Index also continued to record year-on-year increases except for communication. In a statement today, the department noted that the rise was also due to the lower base effects last year as a result of the electricity bill discount given to domestic consumers under the Pemulih program. It said July core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, increased by 3.4% from the previous year. Public Bank saw its second quarter FY22 net profit climb by 2.35%, a more modest increase versus the 12.66% growth it booked in pre-tax profit due to the impact of Cukai Makmur. Earnings came in at 1.42 billion ringgit, chiefly due to a 79.8% fall in loan impairment allowance and a 5.3% increase in net interest allowance. Public Bank said in its filing with Bursa Malaysia that the lower loan impairment allowance was mainly due to adequate preemptive allowances made in the prior years. Revenue for the quarter inched up by 1% to 4.97 billion ringgit. It declared a first interim dividend of 8 cents per share. For the first half, Public Bank's net profit dipped 3.1% to 2.82 billion ringgit, while top line slipped 0.9% to 9.86 billion ringgit. Looking ahead, the lender's founder and chairman Tan Sri Dr. Teh Hong Piao said the group expects its strong balance sheet, resilient asset quality and good corporate governance practices to continue to provide support in strengthening its business with greater cost efficiency and operational productivity. At the close, Public Bank was unchanged at 4.63 ringgit with a market capitalisation of 89.87 billion ringgit. RHB Bank is bracing for an uptake in loan loss provisions in the second half of this year as the gross impaired loan or GIL ratio for its small and medium enterprise SME customers trends upwards. RHB Group MD and CEO Muhammad Rashid Muhammad told the press that the lender is closely monitoring the trend, which it is seeing in SMEs, particularly micro SMEs. Still, he said RHB is quite confident that it would be able to maintain its GIL ratio below 1.7% for this year. RHB recorded a GIL ratio of 1.62% for the second quarter of FY22, up from 1.5% in the first quarter of FY22 and 1.49% in the fourth quarter of FY21. For the second quarter of FY22, the group said allowance for credit losses on financial assets fell 83% to 38.6 million ringgit, mitigating the adverse impact from lower non-fund-based income. RHB, the fourth largest bank in Malaysia by assets size, saw its net profit fall 9.5% to 634.83 million ringgit during the quarter, despite net interest income rising 1.8% to 1.03 billion ringgit. Earnings were weighed down by higher operating expenses, weaker brokerage income, fund management fees, unit trust fee income and corporate advisory fees. It declared a dividend of 15 cents per share for the first half of FY22. Shares of RHB closed up 0.35% at 5.81 ringgit at 5 p.m, giving it a market capitalisation of 24.47 billion ringgit. IHH Healthcare says it has been de-risking its lira-denominated revenue exposure as the hospital operator recognizes the potential impact of the hyperinflationary environment in Turkey, where inflation had exceeded 100%. In its latest corporate presentation slides, in conjunction with an analyst briefing organized by the company, IHH highlighted that cumulative inflation rates over a 3-year period had exceeded 100% as at April. IHH's Turkey-based Acibadem Healthcare Group looks after the healthcare needs of the group's patients in Turkey, Bulgaria, Macedonia, the Netherlands and Serbia through a network of 22 hospitals and 18 medical centres, as well as ancillary services such as diagnostics. According to IHH's website, Acibadem helps build Turkey as a trustworthy health hub to international medical tourists, with 39 representative offices in 22 countries and 38 cities. CGS-CIMB Securities analyst Tae Wee Kwang, who attended IHH's analyst briefing, wrote in a note that as of the first half of FY22, non-lira business in Acibadem formed 46% of the healthcare group's total revenue, up from 33% in FY17. Post IHH's analyst briefing, he said the research house remains optimistic on further recovery in its core businesses, with scope for improvement in operational metrics. At the close, IHH's share price was 0.47% lower at 6 ringgit 34 for a market capitalization of about 55.86 billion ringgit. Messrs. Zaid Ibrahim, Suflan T.H. Liu and Partners, the firm that represented ex-Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak in his final SRC International appeal, is threatening to sue Malaysian Bar President Karen Chia Yee Lin. The law firm has issued a letter of demand against Chia over a press statement that it said suggested that the lawyers had deliberately acted unprofessionally by accepting the brief to Najib's case with an improper agenda to abuse the court process, and that they were not fit to practice as advocates and solicitors. Chia's statement was issued following Najib's abrupt dismissal of the firm, just days before his verdict was announced. In a letter dated August 26th, the law firm said the claims in her statement were false and scurrilous and constitute libel. It also pointed out that by publishing and disseminating the press statement, Chia had intended to and did ensure that it received the most extensive coverage possible. The firm is demanding that Chia retract the statement and make a public apology by September 2nd.